Sports Minutes with Ziaul Raushan.
Money FM 89.3. It's time for Sports Minutes with me, Ziaul Raushan. Now, remember that term, living the dream? Well, today's guest has done just that, in my opinion at least. Born in Manchester, he was a youth player for the Red Devils before going on to forge a career in English football, playing for the likes of Bolton Wanderers, Plymouth Argyle and Swindon Town. And despite having a host of household names on his CV, he now calls Singapore his home, having been appointed the head of coach education and development for the Football Association of Singapore in August 2024. How and why did this happen? And what is his master plan to resurrect Singapore football? Without further ado, please allow me to introduce Hasney Aljofree, who joins me in the Sports Minute studio. Hasney, a huge welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, thank you. I really appreciate you having me here. I know you've been waiting to speak to me.
Yep, yeah. I've been waiting a long time to speak to you, and there's so much to talk about in terms of your role with FAS. But it's only right we start with our beloved Manchester United. Testing times to be a fan, eh?
Yes, it is. I think. I think they won last night, which was a big thing for us as Man United fans. But look, the club itself is probably going through its toughest time. I think that's where us as fans, we need to stick with the club and hopefully we ride the storm and come out the other end. And the manager, who I do really believe in, that he can pull the club together and have a team that's really successful moving forward.
You talk about us as fans. I'm keenly aware that you had the chance to at one point represent the club at youth level, and that's amazing. Let's talk about the manager, Ruben Amorim, who you say you believe in, right? He seems to want to stick to his guns. 3-5-2 or nothing. 3-4-3 rather, or nothing. In your opinion, as a coach yourself, does he need a bit of adaptability almost?
I think it's a good question, right? So I think for me, looking at the club itself, I've been there as a coach as well, seen many managers come and go. I think for the first time, I've seen a real, I guess not a stubbornness, but it's almost a philosophy from the managers to come in and say he's going to do it his way. Maybe seeing the way managers have operated over the past, and maybe the people talking about this is how Man United play and this is what you need to do, and maybe the managers have maybe succumbed to the pressure of the fans and the expectations. But I think for this manager, it's refreshing to understand he has a way of playing, a style. He has his own philosophy, and I think he's come in and he's been very strong and firm in terms of his attitudes, his behaviours, the way he wants to see players kind of work every day. And I think that's, for me as a fan, it's an opportunity for the club to find a new opportunity to move forward with the future. So I believe in the manager. He's an energetic guy with fresh ideas, and I think he's respectable to the club. But I think he's coming in with huge potential to take the club forward.
Yeah, I absolutely love his energy that you speak of. Let's move the conversation on to Hasney, and it's only fair you bring up philosophy. I want to know what is Hasney Aljofree's philosophy as a coach.
Good question. Again, for me, I am very much on the journey of learning myself. So my own personal philosophy is one. Maybe I have I don't know how to explain this. I have many mentors and many people that have influenced my life along my journey, from football to different sports to teachers to my parents. I think coaching philosophy, I'm one of pure development. I think without technique and skill, they're the foundations. Without that, I'm not sure how you can move on with tactics. So I'm a firm believer that having highly technical players and players who are brave to make mistakes and be creative, I find if you can go down that route, for me personally, I find you have a better opportunity to develop an individual and a team.
It's like you're reading my questions at this point, because my next follow-up to that was, who are some of your idols and mentors in the game? You mentioned a few names in terms of your parents and former people you've shared the dressing room with, perhaps, but who are they?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, my parents are my biggest mentors, and I think I lost my dad 8 years ago. He was a huge influence on my life, and I guess from where my attitudes and I guess my values certainly came from my dad and my mum growing up. And so from that, I think it allowed me to be open-minded, to explore my passions. And I think from them, very fortunate to come into football and meet amazing people along my journey. So right from the start, there's so many people that have come into the way with amazing advice and support and guidance and mentoring. And I think for me, I've been lucky throughout my youth journey. Nobby Stiles, Brian Kidd, a guy called Tony Whelan at Manchester United. Wonderful, wonderful guys. And then going into the professional environment, I have fantastic managers, Bruce Rioch, Sam Allardyce, Colin Todd, Ian Holloway, Tony Pulis, so many. And I guess maybe the biggest one throughout my football journey was a guy called Paul Sturrock. I think he gave me like nearly 10 years of a career, taking me to 4 or 5 clubs with him. So he was a huge influence. And then coming out on the other side into being the coaching. So, I think I started off coaching at Oldham Athletic for a year, but then went into Manchester United, and Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager. Then you had some unbelievable coaches and managers. So you look at Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, these guys, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then the coaches in behind again. Tony Whelan was still there. So listen, I'm very fortunate to come across some outstanding human beings in their own right. Just all carry the same application in life. I think just great people, honest, hardworking, respectful. I think that's probably in a nutshell where I can go with this.
I mentioned in the introduction you're living the dream, and the names you mentioned certainly make me want to almost check through your contact list to see who's the most popular one there. But let's move it on in terms of coaching, right? You started coaching players, and then you moved towards coaching coaches. When did that fork in the road happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'd had almost 10 years as a player development coach at Manchester United, and worked right across the academy in terms of age groups and different experiences as maybe some more leadership roles. So I think from under 13s up to maybe there was times under 21. So I think at the club they wanted you to experience different moments of learning yourself. So different age groups brings different challenges. So for me, I guess over the 9 or 10 years there, I learned so much around individual player development, and in terms of roles and positions, not so much sticking into one area, but you probably would suggest by the end of it, I was heavily involved in youth development, elite youth development. I think one of the key roles I had was overseeing and managing the top class players in the youth environment. So Rashfords and McTominays, Angel Gomez, Kobe Mainu, these guys. To name a few. There's so many that have come out the system. So very lucky, very privileged. And so going into coach development and seeing maybe the difference in teaching adults. Really thought that it came at me out the blue, really. So when I left Manchester United, I needed a new challenge. Didn't know what to do. I had a few more opportunities to go back into academies and probably more senior levels. But I just wanted to try and do something different, right? And so the Professional Football Association contacted me and said there's a job opportunity, would I like to talk to them about it? And it was, no problem. And it provided all these new opportunities to learn and experience different ways of mentoring and upskilling people. So went into the PFA, and then I kind of had a hybrid role then with the English FA, working alongside with the A-licensed guys and the senior pros in football. So I guess working the last 3.5 years with scholars right up to the international football players in England, which was amazing. And I loved it. Yeah. And
you talk about seeking that new challenge, right? A new adventure almost. Is that what led you to Singapore then? Because it's entirely different, right? In terms of that opportunity that you sought. Did FAS come calling, or did you actively search for that opportunity?
No, I think look, what a job I had. I think I told everyone I wouldn't be leaving that place, because every day was a different challenge, a new learning opportunity for me. I kind of like waking up not knowing, so not putting pressure on me to give all the answers. I think that job provided everything. So we'll be working with scholars one day, working with internationals the next day, coming across senior managers in England, and I just thought, wow, what a job I've got here. It's not even a job. I love waking up to this challenge. It's just amazing. And I guess the balance in my life allowed me as well to see my kids and my family most nights and weekends. And the job itself was amazing for me because it allowed balance. And then I thought that was it. The next 10, 15, 20 years, that I ain't moving anywhere. So I had a phone call out the blue back in November 23 from Michael Brown asking me if I was interested in talking to FAS regarding a potential opportunity to work as the head of coach development education in Singapore. So, I mean, my ears pricked up straight away. I thought no one's going to be able to take me away from the PFA and the FA and all the things that I'm doing. And then I think we had an initial conversation, and straight away I just thought, there's too much here for me to not listen to and trying to have some more discussion. So we spoke more around the end of November. And then he said, look, we go through a proper process here. If you'd like to be in the running for the role, and there's an interview process through HR. You can interview, this is the date, and we'll see where we go. I said, no problem. Spoke to my bosses, They said, look, Hars, if anything, you'll have a new experience dealing with an interview with people that you don't know overseas. Who knows? Just stay open-minded. And they backed me straight away because they knew. I think for me, I'm always up for, making myself better. So if it was only the interview and that was it, that would have been enough for me to say, what an interview, what an experience for me to learn from. Had the interview, pretty daunting, quite some senior guys in the room. I'm sat there looking at these 4 or 5 people. I'm like, wow. Went through 90 minutes, and you just never know, right? So kind of left it after that, and then didn't hear for a couple of days or maybe even a week or so, and then had a phone call saying, look, we'd love to offer you the job. And I think it was like kind of the back end of November into December. So and then there you go. It was like, wow, okay. And it became real. Yes. So the job offer was there, and it was like, right. And they give me a couple of weeks to really think about it with my family, with the job, with the future in England. So, yeah, I think the amazing support I had from the PFA and the FA, the discussions were one of, life sometimes opportunities don't come often like this. It could give you something that you can't get here, and whatever happens, that you'll be going somewhere if you was to leave and to upskill yourself and learn and push yourself in different ways. So they were very supportive, didn't want me to leave. I think we had negotiation after negotiation. They tried to keep me, which I was really, I was taken aback really. But the pull kept coming back to Singapore, and it just kept coming back here. I've got family here. Obviously, my dad's passed away. It was like, I wonder what my dad would say about this. And everybody that I spoke to after that were like, wow, you have to go. It's an opportunity to be somewhere where you can learn yourself, but hopefully influence some positive change. And all the experience you've had from the age of 6, 7, 8, 45, 45, whatever, 44, 45, you've got enough experience now to maybe have the confidence to go to Singapore and blend in with the culture and the people and have a go at and going on a new journey together. And I think then from that, it kind of it got me really excited. Spoke back to Singapore, and it was like, right, come on, let's get this. Let's make sure we can get this going. And it took 4 or 5 months to get it going. I think these at the MOM here tried to work here. Yeah. One of the hardest things you can do in terms of application to work. So, and rightly so. I think the due diligence was outstanding to come and work in Singapore. Like, you're taking someone else's job here, right? Yeah. So. Really understood that towards the end of the process. I was like, wow, they're asking for everything from me, and I think it made me feel confident coming here. And actually, they want to know everything about me, what's happened in my life. Give me everything. This is what I was thinking. So, yeah, we got to that point, and we agreed, and then that was it. The rest is history.
And the rest is history. Here we are then in your role, about 6 months into that new role, right? Let's talk about that role. And a big part of what happened in 2024 would be the launch of the Singapore Youth League, which allows kids to start playing football, falling in love with football again. You've obviously walked the ground. What's your sense in terms of the levels of talent you've seen?
Listen, I think I would never compare Singapore to anywhere. I think that this is people have asked me this a few times, like, what's it like compared to England? I just don't think you can compare. Singapore is Singapore. I think what we have here, we have so many young, aspiring players and coaches. I see massive enthusiasm in Singapore. I see a dedication and a commitment to be out there most days, every day, in terms of trying to provide football for these young people, right? So I've been so inspired by, I guess, the energy when I turn up at Sunday morning or Saturday morning or even a Thursday night. I'm looking, going, this is passion, right? There's more than just standing out there and just putting a football session, or kids are just turning up. I see it. There's energy, and I think honestly, it reminds me of my youth. So I see there's an unrivaled passion here. You can see everyone's got an opinion. Everyone supports a club. And I've loved being around it, if I'm honest with you. So in terms of levels, I will never compare, but I see an opportunity opposed to a level. I just think that we've got all these kids playing, we've got all these coaches in the environment. I think for me, it's more trying to build relationships, get to know people, get to understand what people want. And then, I think if I'm able to pass an opinion, fine. If not, people don't want to hear me, then fine also. I don't have an ego. I think for me, I think the best thing I ever learned was if people want to listen to you and have a conversation, and it's got to be a debate. It can't be somebody shouting down from the rooftops, this is what you do. Yeah. So I've learned that from great mentors over the time. For me, I've seen enough to say there's huge potential here. And I guess for me, coming to Singapore is how can I help in some kind of way of bringing all this out and pushing it forward, and maybe upskilling some coaches in certain ways. And I think there was an article that came out a little while ago regarding kids falling in love with football. I think for me it's the opportunity to fall in love with football. Allowing the time, the patience, the freedom for these youngsters to just play and play, and the skill around the coaching is it about winning? And yes, there's also development and the journeys. There's winning has to be there because you're competing. But it can't be everything, and I think that's what I've said. I think for me, it's finding the opportunity for these youngsters, whether it be SYL or just in Singapore in general. It's like being mindful of, almost success. Is it a winning a game of football? Is it seeing smiley faces? Is it seeing kids who are just flat out on the floor because they can't do any more?
Yeah.
You want to foster that, and I think that's the skill I'm talking about, is allowing the opportunity over a long period of time to these guys just play, and they'll find that they want to win, and we have to be creative around how we find ways of them guys winning. So yeah, I think for me it's such an exciting time for Singapore.
No, I find it so refreshing that the words potential enthusiasm is being spoken about in the same sentence as Singapore football, because it's not often the case, right? You talk about kids, you talk about coaches. Is also part of your role speaking to parents and understanding their concerns? Because I'm of the opinion that sport or football in this conversation is very much recreational more than professional. That's
Absolutely.
how parents feel. Is that the sentiment you gather as well?
Again, absolutely. It's got to be fundamental in anything. Communication is at the heart of anything. And I think if we're not talking to parents, and these parents are having their young children playing football, and then there's no communication back to parents, and I find that's when there's frustration, people not knowing. And for me, parents are a key stakeholder in anyone's journey. So I think I've had some discussions and conversations around parent education, how we can influence some good quality webinars, whether it be modules, whether it be face-to-face conversations. I think that from being on the ground and talking to parents, these people that are happy, there's people who've got gripes about things, and rightly so, and that you can't please everybody. But I think fundamentally we have to communicate in a way where it's all-inclusive. So it's not just a player and the coach. I think the parents need to understand what is happening. And then you'll find maybe when the parents I've got a certain aspect around the kids. One of the kids who they've got is want to do something on the pitch. Well, actually, they know where they're coming from with the coaching. So certainly back home in the UK, there was a huge push of parent education, and it wasn't like to teach parents how to be a parent. It was more just informing parents what's happening, and I think that then allowed it took the heat off. The expectations, what's going on, and is my son or daughter going to be released, or are they going to be okay? And I think then it's actually over a period of time you've got consistent information coming across, and it takes the pressure off everybody. So parents are huge within this.
And you talk about shifting that mindset, right? How big a challenge is that? Because I'm born and bred Singaporean, and all I know in my life is pass or fail. It's black or white. There's no grey. And that works in an academic world, but when it comes to football, I'm sure there's more to it than that.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, I've very much learned in the 6 months here, there's huge appetite for pass and fail, and they want certificates, and, the education is incredible here. Let me tell you that. It's top, first class. Where I guess, if I'm coming from England and I'm going to spend my time away from England to come to Singapore, my opportunity of offering different ways of what does pass and fail look like. So I think certainly over in the UK and Europe, the model has moved more formative opposed to a summative approach. There's the idea around we all make mistakes. We all want to go through a journey of learning. There's not one given moment where if you passed, you cracked it. So there's always opportunity for reflection to get better. So whatever level of coach you are, there's always an opportunity to get better. So, I think the idea of me coming here is trying to understand, yes, the culture here is very much a summative one, and rightly so. It's how I can influence maybe some of the formative I guess, what's the way? Not views or ways, but a formative approach to maybe come inside with the summative and balance and find a way of saying, look, yes, they can be pass and fail. However, can we be a little bit more subtle about it? And then can we accept actually this is a journey. Life is a journey. Nobody knows everything at that given moment. So I've had discussion after discussion around. Look, I don't know it all. I make mistakes every day, and I'm here to say, if I'm the head, I'm okay to say that. So if I've had a half decent football career and I'm okay during my coaching, I think if we can adopt a mindset and say, actually, we want to learn, yes, we can do well, but can we do more?
Yeah.
And I think that's the approach I need to go down. I think I've been sharing enough through our kind of interactions with the coach developers, the coaches that I speak to on the ground. Say, don't worry too much around getting it all right at that moment. I think it's important to say we all make mistakes, and that's where we can get our biggest learning. So growth only comes through mistake for me, through my experiences and seeing some of the best operators in the world day in, day out to say, they're humble enough to say, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I actually don't know the answer. And I'm like, but you're supposed to be the oracle. You should know the answer. He's like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. Go and find it.
Yeah.
And you might not find it.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
So I think for me, football's fun. It's enjoyment. It's a hobby for most, and then some very sort of few becomes maybe a life, a lifestyle in the end. I think we just got to be careful and think, right, look, listen, football is about play, and it's the more you can find that inside you as a young person and as a coach, it's the fundamental to allow you to keep going. Yeah. And I keep saying that there's no shortcut through play and practice and keep going. Just recently, I've just delivered a course at one of the level 1 courses, and one of the coaches never been in football. Right, he's like, he wants to learn. Fantastic. He's in a different industry, oil and gas, I think it was. He said,
interesting. Yeah.
Fantastic. Chelsea fan.
Yeah.
Loads of opinions. I'm like, not sure about Chelsea. I'm a Man U fan, so we're having a bit of debate. And then he's like, he just asked me the question, do you have a blueprint to how to coach?
Yeah.
And I said, what a question.
Yeah.
I said, no, I don't. And he kind of looked at me like, why have you not got a blueprint how to coach?
Yeah.
I said, everybody's different. Everybody needs to find that journey and have that kind of curiosity to go and improve yourself and go and see people do things, and you'll pick up.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, he'd not coached before.
Yeah.
And we went outside and he had this amazing session plan and all the information. It was really good. And then he went outside and he kind of like, it relates nothing to my session plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that I said, look, there you go. And that's why you're here now, is to coach and be on the grass and learn by having a go. And I think over time you'll get better. You'll be perfect. No one is, but you'll find ways of conquering maybe what you wrote down through experience. Yeah. And I think that was probably a really good example for everybody to say, look, but if you read a book and just read the book and get the answers there, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Read the books, fantastic. Let's get through some research and theory, fantastic. But let's get outside and have a go. And certainly for my opportunity of being here, I've said to all the coach developers and all the coaches that I've been around, don't be afraid of making mistakes. This is where we can debate and chat, and let's through reflection, let's go again and let's try it. If we do the same session, let's try it differently next time.
No, I absolutely love that, because we talk about that Singaporean mindset of having pass or fail. Frameworks and blueprints are very much part of that Singaporean ethos as well, and I think you're trying to change that, and that's so important. You touched on coaching courses. I have to ask you, in your role, right? I've heard word on the ground saying there's some delays, or it's taking a while to complete certain Pro A license courses purely because of maybe there's a COVID hangover, or maybe it's just a delay in courses, and that's caused some high-level coaches in the league now, Noel Amshar, Robert Eziako, to take on an interim role purely because they don't have the certification. Is that under your purview to expedite those things as well?
Yeah, listen, I think there's been a... how can I say this? We've had COVID. We've had a pro license course starting in 2021, and it's not finished yet. So when I took the job, I kind of understood that actually there's a backlog in courses and people being assessed, and we need to find a way of getting to the end for every single one who's been through a course. And I think part of this first 5-6 months is to try and have a look at what is going on in a whole, and then try and sift through each part of the licensing and all the courses that we're delivering. So we want to keep the courses going. However, we're very mindful of these guys who've done courses that they need to be assessed and completed. Either they passed or they failed, right?
Yeah.
So we are addressing that now. We've got measures in place. We've managed to finally. Take action this week finally. It doesn't take, it doesn't happen overnight. We have to get the right people to assess. And certainly pro licensed educators in Singapore, there's not many, but we've managed to get the right ones in place to support what we have. So we're addressing this as we speak today. I think that should be fine. By I think May is the cut-off. We want to make sure every single one who's gone through the pro license, they have their assessment. Hopefully all of them get through for me, because what a journey of 4 years.
Of course.
It's important that we try and give them as much support as we can, and the opportunity to have assessment if it's not particularly perfect, and go again. and get to that point where and then they can't turn around to FAS and go, you've not helped me. So part of this, it's been a lot of working behind the scenes to make sure we've got the right people to educate and then deliver assessment. So yes, to answer your question as well around all the other courses, we've had a strategy for Q1, Q2 this year. We have to try and complete all the guys and girls who've had courses to get them to the end point, and whatever that result is, hopefully most, if not all, they get through the courses. So yeah, it's been on my mind. It's something that people may be saying, what's going on? It's been really important that we don't just rush things, but we want to make sure we get it done. So we've got the right people in place now, and hopefully everyone's going to be seen to. And it's so important for me that I know myself. I've been frustrated myself in the past. There's things that happen, right? But I'm here. There's leadership in the department. I'm trying to manage what we have right now in the short term. There's bigger plans going forward, which are exciting for FAS, but we can't go away from the 2021 up to where we are today. Yeah. We have to make sure we're right to everybody who's been on course, and we see it through.
Hasney, thank you so much for answering the what's going on question, because coming from you, I think that adds so much credibility and accountability almost. And I think it's important you address things like this. You talk about professional licenses being high up the agenda in 2025. What else is on the agenda?
There's a lot.
Listen, I've got time.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we have, since I've been coming in, I've obviously looked at all the courses, we've looked at content, we've looked at resources, we've looked at how we want to deliver as coach educators, we've looked at different ways of delivery. Do we explore different avenues, right? So first thing is, the guys who've been delivering, fantastic, very committed to Singapore, some wonderful deliveries that I've seen through right from A licence down to the grassroots. Even just at the weekend, I was with one of our coach educators, and he was amazing. His energy, his enthusiasm, and them guys on the 2-day course, they came away, and honestly, it kind of blew me a little bit. The passion was there. So, look, we have some fantastic delivery right now. Do we have enough? Maybe not, right? Because this is something else we're trying to address. But what I want to say is that we've got great courses, but we want to try and shift some of the modules and maybe some of the information that we're giving out. We want to maybe try new ways of delivery. Can we bring some different new I guess courses that can maybe inspire specific people in Singapore? So yeah, we were exploring the grassroots arena. There's opportunity to maybe expand the courses there and look for different resources to support the grassroots. Likewise, the general pathway that we have now, we're looking at how to shape new content in all the licenses, right from the level 1 to C license, B, A, and the pro license maybe for the next year. There's some discussions around that, and then I guess the opportunity around. Can we introduce more youth modules or youth awards? Or definitely, we've got a huge landscape now in SYL. Yep. Right, so we've got kind of a general pathway, but we can have the pathway. But can we introduce some more specific courses that can give more knowledge to our guys on the ground, our coaches on the ground, that can actually relates to them? So that's all in the mix. With some fantastic discussions. We spoke to a number of platforms, resources that can potentially come in and really, really take us to a new level. So there's things in the pipeline, as you know. Things have to be signed off and agreed, and make sure that the process is properly completed. And it's all my opinions and my thoughts. Yes, okay, they're good, but it's a finance behind everything, of right? Course. So. Yeah, I think we are not far away from hopefully taking the department and the education to a new level here, and I think hopefully people are mindful that it doesn't happen overnight. Yep. Processes have to start somewhere. We're just trying to get maybe a good hold on the department, make sure we're respectful to everything that's gone on in the past. Yeah. That has to be adhered to, and then we move forward with great stuff that we're delivering. Can we complement them with some new ideas and maybe future coaching sessions and whatever it might be? I think it's really exciting.
By all accounts, your 2025 is going to be jam-packed, and I'm so grateful you found time to speak to us. You've been very candid, very honest, and very frank with your answers so far, and I think the listeners will enjoy that, right? The way you're so honest. I hope you can be honest for my next question now. This is an observation I've made in terms of people who come in with high-level CVs. They come into Singapore, they join the FAS, they don't serve their purpose, and then they leave. This is an observation I've made. I would like you to speak to the listener and explain why you are going to buck that trend and be different.
I've been in environments myself, and I've seen foreign coaches come in and they come and go, and it's like, where's the love for this place? How can you come in and maybe earn all this money and all of a sudden, are you better than what we are? Because I think fundamentally there's got to be a passion behind what you do, and if somebody's going somewhere for the wrong intentions, I think you can see it pretty quickly. For me, I think there's more to it for me. Like I said to you, I had a wonderful job. I've got a huge family in England as well as in Singapore. The opportunity for me to come here was not just to take a job; it was to hopefully impact Singapore for the better going forward. And I think anything I've done in the past, certainly for me, I've done it with everything that I've got. So minimum 100%. And I've got a 2-year contract, and in the 2 years, what can I do in 2 years? I'm going to do my best, and I think hopefully that rubs off to everyone that's around me. I've got a massive family here. I see them all the time. It's not just a job. I think they ask me all the time, how's it going, Has? What you doing? And I'm like, yeah, it's going really well. I'm working 10, 11, 12-hour days every single day. There's no day off because I'm passionate about what I do. This is a way of life now. So I've left my kids in England, right? I'm not leaving them for anything apart from want to come here and support Singapore. And by doing that, I need to make sure I commit 100%. And if someone turns around and says, in the end, Has, it's not good enough, then I can leave actually knowing I've given everything. I'm very much the person that has to be fully committed, and that's why I'm here. So to take me away from my children is huge. So anybody who's listening to this, I am a family man, and being away from my kids every day or every minute is a problem to me. So whilst I'm here, I am giving everything that I've got, and hopefully whenever the time is that they send me away or whatever, I've influenced this place in a positive way, and I've rubbed off, and hopefully my behaviours and the way I am as a human being, it can be translated maybe on the ground with people who are coaching or young kids who are playing football. Maybe just some small inspirations that can be left here, and then also the foundations of new courses, of new ways of delivering. Maybe the formative approach can come into Singapore in football. Let's see. So to answer your question, it's not an easy question because I understand it, I really do, and I don't like people coming and going. I think it's a little bit what you're here for. Is it money? Is it just to put on your CV? I've seen it. So no, I'm here. I'm committed to the 2 years, unless someone tells me differently. Hopefully, people that have come up to me at this point, hopefully, just see I'm a normal person. I've got energy. I'm a passionate guy. I love football. But I think ultimately behind it, I'm a good person. And I think when I do that, I go to bed at night shattered, by the way. But I know I'm doing what I can.
And with your conscience clean, right? That's absolutely the only one you're answering to. And I absolutely love that. I have huge respect for what you just said, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. Plus, there's Singaporean food. Do you really want to give up Singaporean food?
No, absolutely not. Because I don't live too far from Lau Pa Sat, and I find myself there most nights on my way home from football, from work, and the food's amazing. Honestly, when I went back home for Christmas time, my mum and family were saying, what do you miss? I'm like, look, miss the football and everything, but the food's unbelievable. Like the hawker centres, when I can, I'm going to try and get out to most of them. I've been to Newton. That was my favourite, I think. So listen, the food is unbelievable here. What a place for food,
It's fantastic. You've got me thinking about Newton this evening as well. Let's talk about your son to round off the conversation. It's only fair I address Hasney Aljofree as well, who's now playing for Accrington Stanley, I believe. You talked about the difficulty of being away from your kids. How difficult is it to be away from Sonny while he embarks on this exciting new chapter of his life? It's something that I think hopefully I've left him in a good place in terms of getting on with his next part of his journey. I think he signed a new 3-year contract at Manchester United. They wanted him to go out to a lower league club to get battered and bruised, so to speak, and find the dark arts of playing men's football week in, week out, and suffering and getting the broken noses and the stud on the feet. And I think from my point of view, being a football guy who's gone through the process myself, this is exactly what he needed. Yes, it's not been easy for him to see his dad kind of go the other side of the world, but we're constantly talking. And I think for him, it's more, when he wants me in here for guidance, he has enough people around him at Man U who is always going into the club and speaking to them. They're very much supportive of him. His family, my family over there, they're always around. He's got lots of friends, and he's got great guys who are representing him as well. So I'm very, very confident that he's trying to find his way in football.
maybe to a certain point I've guided and given him some good advice. Now he's got, he's been there 4 or 5 months himself. He's learning on the job and what it takes to play football week in, week out, the wins and the losses, and the manager really give him the stark truths of how he's performed. So the potential where he's been in an environment to I guess explore for. Doesn't really matter if you win or lose, and it's okay the next day. You're going to play. This is really, he's playing for his shirt week in, week out, and so I'm proud of him. I'm watching him survive. I'm watching him go through the motions. Some of the days I speak to him is high, and the next day he's like, "Dad, I can't believe what's going on." But I said, "Look, Sonny, that's football. And I think you want to play football, you've got to go through this process." So proud of him. Proud of my other son, Rocco. He's an animator. He loves film. He loves anything to do with animation, and he's so creative, and so very proud of him. And he's just started his own business as well. He's
Fantastic.
13.
Oh, fantastic!
13.
Fantastic.
So he's an entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
So both of them, yes, in their own right, are trying to crack on without Dad being there. But we're always talking.
Thank you for sharing that story about Rocco, because we all know about Sonny, but we didn't know you left a 13-year-old boy back home, and I think that adds so much context to this, and I don't want to bother listeners or tell the listeners what I was doing at 13. Your son is fine above, on the right journey. Let's talk about Sonny to round off this conversation. Without asking you the very obvious question, I'm going to phrase it such that, does he share the same affinity for Singapore as you do? Yeah,
so to answer that, I would say in short term, he was very close to my dad. Very, very close. And they spoke about Singapore a lot. So when Sonny was 2, he came over to Singapore with me, and we stayed here for quite some time. He remembers small amounts. But I guess the real connection was with my dad. And my dad always showing him pictures of family in Singapore, and I always remember that they spoke so much about coming to Singapore together. And my dad passed away 8 years ago. And Sonny's always said to me, like, "Dad, when we're going back over, when we need to go, I want to go and see Singapore. I want to see my dad's family." Obviously, the connection now is playing football. Is the questions are always going to be there. He's desperate to come to Singapore to see me. Right, he wants to visit. He wants to see where I live. He wants to be around Singapore. He wants to see the people here. He wants to visit the stadiums, and he's curious. Right, he's playing football. He knows there's been some noise around what potentially could happen, but he's got a lot to do himself before any football talk can be had here. I think he's got to establish himself as a football player, and then he has maybe some decisions to make down the line. But I think ultimately, he's loving that I'm here. He's very proud of me being in Singapore. It's almost continuing the legacy of my dad. And who knows what might happen in the future. Football has a funny way of working out, right? So no pressure for him. I just want him to be happy day in, day out. And whatever happens in his life, he knows he's got his dad who supports him, whatever it might be. So who knows, right? He's coming out in May for an opportunity to visit Sentosa, go to all the hawker centres with me, with his little brother, and do all the things that a tourist would do, right? And then who knows?
And if you can squeeze in half an hour for Sports Minutes down in May, I'm all up for that as well. I could buy you guys Newton after that as well. No, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. I very much believe Manchester's loss is Singapore's gain at this point. We've been speaking to the head of coach education and development in the Football Association of Singapore, Hasney Aljofree. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Sports Minutes on Money FM 89.3.